Hello and welcome back once again to the Wrestling Rant. It's time for the Martin Luther King Jr. Day edition of Monday Night Raw, which was in Dayton, Ohio, despite the fact that they didn't mention that at all on the show. Yeah, I was paying attention. They never said. The only reason I knew it was at Dayton is because I got an email from the WWE that they were talking about selling tickets. They're saying, hey, Raw is in Dayton, and that's pretty close to you. Yeah, it is. So what? Anyways, the show started off with a Martin Luther King Jr. Tribute sort of video, and they replay it at some other point in the show, as well as playing a couple other different videos. But the show really starts. They cut into the arena. Oh, right, and it's January 20th. Not like I needed to really say that. By the way, if I start slurring or my words become jumbled, it's because I might be half drunk. In anticipation of Raw being shit, which I pretty much knew it was going to be, I prepared a special milkshake for myself. And I do this sometimes. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I do this sometimes when I feel like Raw is going to be awful. And I just, it helps to numb the pain of watching these crappy Raws. Yeah, it's like a milkshake, but it's alcoholic, so yeah. Anyways, the show really starts when they cut into the arena and King of Kings is playing. Triple H and Stephanie are already in the ring. And they start talking about the Royal Rumble, and Stephanie goes to welcome... Or no, was it Triple H? One of them goes to welcome back Batista, but they get cut off by Randy's music. Randy comes out, and as he's coming out... Or no. He comes out and he starts yelling at Triple H and Stephanie. He's been on this tear for a while. He's, who the hell do you think you are, forcing me into this stupid rematch? And Stephanie gets in his face and she's like, who the hell do you think you are? Anyways, she brings up what happened last week, Randy losing to Kofi, and they even play a nice recap of it. And of course, that also includes Orton losing his shit, flipping out and beating up Cena's dad. After that, there's a bunch of bitching back and forth between all three of them. And Triple H basically says, tonight we're going to give you a chance to make things right. Number one, we've put this camera guy out in the, it's the back entrance, I guess, to the arena where, like, cars can come in and out and shit. It's usually where the superstars show up and whatnot. But we've got this camera guy back here. He's waiting for Cena to show up. And we've got it there so when he shows up, when you can make things right. And also, in an effort to help make things right, Randy, you're going to have a rematch against Kofi Kingston here tonight. Because, you losing wasn't very, it made you look like shit. Whatever the fuck. Anyways, Triple H and Stephanie leave, and then Batista's music hits. And he comes out. Or no, he comes out before Triple H and Stephanie leave. And he gets in the ring and he actually hugs Stephanie and shakes hands with Triple H. And then Triple H and Steph leave. And Batista's getting ready to talk. Randy's almost like panicking. Because he pretty much, when he was talking earlier, he pretty much said, yeah, I pretty much know that Batista wants a shot at the title. And he was right. But yeah, Batista's getting ready to talk. Randy sticks his hand out like he wants to shake hands with him. And Batista's like, nah. He doesn't do shit. He just starts talking. And he basically says that, yeah, people been wondering why I'm back. And he says, I came back to win the Royal Rumble this Sunday. I came back to main event WrestleMania. And I came back to win the WWE World Heavyweight title. And that's pretty much all he says. And so he leaves. And Randy's just standing there like a complete bitch, doesn't do shit. If he were any kind of man, he would have clobbered Batista with the belts or whatever and beat the shit out of him. No, he stands there like a chicken shit and does nothing. Complete punk out. That segment ended. They hype up a face-to-face that's going to happen later on between Lesnar and the Big Show. Yeah, whatever. They cut back to the stupid camera that's waiting for Cena, and they say that there's going to be a 6-man tag match between the Rhodes Brothers and Biggie Langston versus The Shield up next, and then they cut to a commercial. When they come back from the commercial, Cody and Goldust and Big E are already in the ring. And then the Shield music hits and they come out. So, who do you think is going to win the match? Well, the match starts, and it was actually a fairly decent match. Couple of highlights, let's see. Cody went to hit the disaster kick on Rollins, but Rollins ducked out of the way, rolled out of the ring, and went around the corner to try and go over to, roll into the ring in his corner to tag out. But as he was going towards his corner, Cody comes springboarding, like he does a double jump springboard, and does a big crossbody splash on Rollins on the outside of the ring. And that was right before a commercial break. So they cut to commercial. After they come back, there's some more stuff. Of course, we get the big tag match clusterfuck where everybody's coming in, yada yada. Cody was the legal man with Reigns. Cody went to hit the disaster kick. He'd already nailed it once on Reigns. But he goes for it again. Reigns, let's see, I'm trying to explain this. Cody jumps to springboard off the ropes, and Reigns sees it coming, so he comes charging. As Cody turns back for the disaster kick, Reigns jumps up and Superman punches Cody right in the face, in midair. So that looked pretty sweet. And after that, Goldust ran in to try and grab Reigns, but Goldust, smacked Reigns to dizzy him, and then Goldust went to hit the ropes, but Reigns comes charging, runs through Goldust with a spear, so he's out. Big E wound up getting tagged in, and he was legal. He was doing something with Ambrose. Ambrose, I think, tagged in Rollins. And then I think Ambrose hit Big E in the gut or something to double him over. Rollins comes in, he comes running, hits the ropes, jumps up, and hits the big curb stomp he calls the blackout on Big E. And he covers Big E, and he gets the win. So Rollins actually gets a win for once. He usually gets his ass kicked in most of these matches, and he took a few bumps, but he actually gets some offense in, and he won the match. So the Shield, of course, wins, because they're the only team that didn't get the fucking jobber entrance. Honestly, the damn jobber entrance shit needs to go away. If you can't be bothered to show somebody's entrance, you've got a 3-hour show to work with. You've got way too much filler crap, and that shit needs to go away. If you need to have this crap, put it on that stupid app shit. That's going to come up again later, by the way. But anyways, yeah, so the Shield wins, whatever the fuck. We get a recap from last week of Bryan beating the shit out of Bray Wyatt after the cage match. And they hype up that Bryan is going to break his silence about his time with the Wyatts up next. And they cut to a commercial. Coming back from the commercial, Bryan's music is playing and he's already in the ring. It's just for a promo, so it's not like it's a jobber entrance. He starts talking, and he's talking. I can't remember exactly what he says. But he mentions the fact that I just talked to Brad Maddox or somebody, one of the GMs, and they told me that Luke Harper and Eric Rowan are going to be in the Royal Rumble match. But Bray isn't. And so that gives me a chance to go one-on-one with him at the Royal Rumble. So we're going to get Bray versus Bryan at the pay-per-view. But apparently, neither one of them is going to be in the Rumble match itself. And yet, for some stupid reason, Harper and Rowan are going to be in. Why? What have those two monkeys done to deserve getting a shot at main eventing WrestleMania and getting a shot at the world title? What have they done to deserve that? I'm not even, don't even try and get it twisted. I know neither one of them's gonna win. I bet you neither one of them's even gonna come close. But still, why? Why put them in the match? Why give them this opportunity? Anyways. Yeah. But again, he starts up a big yes, yes, yes chant. And then we get the stupid Wyatt cut. And the lights in the arena go out, and there's Bray up on the Titantron. And it's all dark wherever it is he's cutting this promo. He basically cuts the promo. It's his same sort of stupid bullshit. Who gives a fuck? They do the cutaway gag to end it, and it cuts away to a commercial. When we come back from the commercial, Fandango is coming out with some array. They're finishing their entrance. They're doing the pose in the ring, and they even have the little light bright pyro thingy overhead. And Xavier Woods has already come out, and he's standing at ringside with R-Truth. Truth gets on commentary, and we get a quick match of Xavier Woods versus Fandango. It was a quick match. It was pretty much a squash match. Xavier got a brief little amount of offense before Johnny turned it around, hit the Falcon Arrow on him, which set him up for the big guillotine leg drop. Johnny hits that, and he gets the win. So it was a really quick match. Like, it was seriously that fucking quick. And after the match is over, JBL goes, oh, hey, look, there's Emma up in the crowd again. I don't think I mentioned this last week. She was in the crowd last week. So they're trying to debut her. Who cares? Anyways, okay. I don't know if I've given my complete thoughts on Emma right now. I have not seen the girl wrestle, so I can't say whether or not she's good. I think I heard somewhere that she was trained by Lance Storm. I think I heard that somewhere. I think that's true. I don't know. I have not seen the girl wrestle. I've seen her do her stupid little hand jive dancing thing. It's stupid as fuck. And she's still doing it. She's in the crowd holding up a sign that says Emma Attainment or whatever the fuck. And she's still doing her little hand jive with her one free hand. Whatever. Moving on. After the match, we cut backstage to the office where Kane is there. And then there's Brad Maddox who's trying to talk. And then Stephanie comes out of nowhere and she tells Maddox to piss the fuck off. He leaves and Steph basically starts yelling at Kane over what Kane did on SmackDown to CM Punk. She wasn't really yelling, but she was like, she was calmly kind of yelling at him. But it was still very much like a scolding, you shouldn't have done that sort of thing. And Kane apologizes to her, but Stephanie says, it's really not, you really shouldn't be apologizing to me. You should really go out there and apologize to Punk. And Kane basically is like, okay, and so he leaves and commercial break. When we come back from the commercial, Kane's music hits and he comes out to the ring, and they show a recap from SmackDown of the whole segment with Punk and choke slam and everything. Kane's in the ring and he gets a mic and he asks Punk to come out. And after a pause, Punk does come out. Kane, he apologizes to him. And Punk's like, what? I didn't quite hear you? You know, whatever. So Kane repeats it and he says, I apologize, you know, whatever the fuck. He repeats it. And Punk's like, you know what? It's cool. I don't even... And then he just whacks Kane with the microphone and starts attacking him. And I think he basically, like, clotheslines Kane out of the ring. And Kane's pissed. He's pulling his jacket off. He's pissed. He's getting ready to jump back in the ring. And then out comes Maddox from the curtain up on the stage. And he's like, Kane, stop. He has to say it like 3 times to get Kane to stop. And he's like, Punk, it's pretty obvious you want to fight tonight, but I'm not going to give you Kane because Kane isn't supposed to be wrestling anymore. So I'm going to give you a match with one of these 2 men. And then the Outlaws music hits. And the 2 of them come out. And I'm thinking, okay, which one's it going to be? They get down to the ring, and they do a rock, paper, scissors. And Billy actually wins. So Billy's going to be in the match against Punk. And so Road Dogg gets on commentary. Highlights from the match. It was a decent enough match. It wasn't really that great, though. Mostly because Billy was just gassed after not even all that long. Let's see. Commercial break. Okay. And then here's where things got interesting. Punk threw Billy out of the ring on the side over by the ramp. And Road Dogg had been running his mouth on commentary. Punk jumps out of the ring and dives over the table and clocks Road Dogg. And then Punk gets back in the ring and Billy's already in the ring. Punk does his running knee in the corner, the high knee, and he goes to give him the bulldog again. But we get a repeat of the spot from, I don't remember what match it was in, but then Billy basically throws Punk off, and there's Road Dogg on the apron. Punk clocks Road Dogg. And whatever, there were some more shenanigans. Billy got knocked down, and he was in position for the macho elbow, and Punk went up for it. But there's Road Dogg again, reaches in, grabs Billy by the arm, and pulls him out of the ring. And so Punk decides to jump down, and he hits the ropes on the other side of the ring, and he comes suicide dive. He nails Road Dogg and practically shoves him up against the announce table again. Back in the ring, Punk and Billy are there. Punk hits the GTS, and he gets the win. And then there's Brad Maddox again up on the stage. And he says, you know, congratulations on your win. And then Kane interrupts him. And he's like, I got this. And Kane's like, yeah, congratulations on your win. But I've got some news for you. You're going to get a chance to prove why you're the best in the world. Because we already announced that you're going to be in the Royal Rumble match. But now what we'd like to tell you is that you're going to be number 1 in the Royal Rumble match. So Punk is the first entrant in the Rumble match. And I'm pretty sure I called that probably last week. I don't remember if it was last week or not, or if it was the week before. Who cares? After that, we cut back to that camera that's waiting for Cena. And way off in the distance, oh, hey, look, there comes somebody. And the camera zooms in and they're like, oh, wait, that's Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. They come walking in for some reason. I don't know why they didn't have a car. Heyman's all burr, it's cold, he's got his coat on, and Brock was wearing a coat or something, I don't remember. But anyways, they show up in commercial break. And when we come back, they play the new version of the Royal Rumble by the numbers video. Whoop-de-doo. And after that, the commentators segue into a tribute for Mae Young. As I mentioned in the SmackDown video for last week, she passed away, and I knew they were going to do a tribute, but yeah. So they have this nice long tribute for Mae. And after the tribute, I'm thinking, okay, let's segue into a Divas match. Nope. Rey Mysterio's music hits. And he comes out to no reaction whatsoever. Crowd did not give a shit about him. And while he's coming out, we get a recap from SmackDown of Rey beating Del Rio, and then Del Rio attacking him, putting the arm breaker on him, whatever the hell. And they cut to a commercial. And when we come back from the commercial, Del Rio is already in the ring. So Del Rio gets jobber entranced. So the match starts, and it's basically the same sort of case as Orton and Kofi from last week. Long match, but it was boring. I don't give a fuck about either one of these guys. Del Rio is just boring, and Mysterio he really just needs to retire. There was a commercial during the match. Del Rio tried to take off Rey's mask. Rey hit the 619 and the dime drop, but he was too close to the corner, and Del Rio was able to get a rope break. Let me see if I can remember what this was. Don't remember what it was, but Del Rio was able to counter something that Rey did into the cross arm breaker. But either way, Del Rio locks in the cross arm breaker, and Mysterio taps out like a bitch. Del Rio wins. After the match, Batista's music hits. You know, since Del Rio had been talking smack for the last couple of weeks, Batista had to come out. He comes out, and him and Del Rio kind of have a little stare down for a minute. Del Rio tries to charge him, but Batista catches him, fucked up spine buster. And he gets him up, kicks him in the stomach, doubles him over, sets him up for the Batista bomb. But this is something I probably should have mentioned earlier. Batista has been he had this ugly white jacket on. It was like a hoodie and a pair of like skinny jeans on. So, yeah. He gets Del Rio up for the Batista bomb, but then he just does a regular power bomb and slams him down. He doesn't go down like the sit-out, Batista bomb, because apparently with those skinny-ass jeans on, they would have exploded had he gone down with it. But whatever, who gives a shit? So yeah, Del Rio gets his ass kicked by Batista, whatever. We cut backstage where Big Show is talking to some guy who's like half his height. Whatever. So apparently the face-to-face between him and Lesnar's going to be up next, and they cut to a commercial. Coming back from the commercial, Big Show's music hits and he comes out, and once again they show the recap from the old school Raw of Show chucking Brock across the ring like a child, which the guy has the mentality of a child, so, Show starts talking, and he's basically just making fun of Heyman, doing the really high-pitched Heyman voice and everything. He finally goes back to normal, but then he starts making fun of Heyman again with the thing again, and he calls out Brock. And so they cut up to the stage, and there's Heyman. He comes out, he's got a mic, and he just has this really shocked look on his face. He doesn't say anything, he just kind of looks over his shoulder, and Brock's music hits. And he comes out. And the two of them together make their way down to the ring. But they get down to the ringside area, and Brock's just like, nah. And they turn around and they start heading back up the ramp. And they go all the way up the ramp, and they fucking leave out through the curtain. Camera cuts back over to Show, who's still in the ring. I think he gets another mic back because he got rid of the other one because he's thinking, okay, we're gonna fight. He gets a mic back, and he says, I'm trying to remember exactly what he said. I think he said, I don't know if you heard me, but get your dumb ass down here to this ring and fight me. Get in my face. You know, he's basically totally calling Brock out and making Brock look like a chicken shit in the process. So, after that, Brock finally does come back out. And he makes his way down to the ring, and he finally gets in the ring, and he gets right in Show's face. And I think he, shoved Show or whatever, and Show's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then Brock goes for like a double leg takedown, like an MMA style takedown. Show completely blocks it, chucks Brock into the corner, they start going at it. Show ends up throwing Brock all the way out of the ring, and Brock flips the hell out. He's throwing shit. He throws the cover off of the announce table, the stupid wooden cover thing. He grabs a chair and starts whacking the table for some reason. And then Brock tries to slide into the ring with the chair, but Show steps forward, steps on the chair to block it, and so Brock backs out. Big Show picks up the chair. And Lesnar grabs one of the monitors out of the desk, throws that into the ring, and I think Show blocked it with the chair. And basically that was it. After that, Brock he just leaves like a pussy. Him and Heyman leave. And they cut to a commercial. Coming back from the commercial, AJ's music hits, and she comes out with Tamina. And we get a recap from earlier, footage from the stupid app, which they never showed up until now. Apparently, earlier, AJ was having a party backstage celebrating that she has surpassed the former record of longest number of days holding the Divas title, which was previously held by Maurice. But AJ has surpassed that, and she has become the new longest reigning Divas champion in history. And like I said, she's having this party, but her and Tamina are basically the only ones there. And there's Wade Barrett, who says, I've got some bad news for you. Nobody came to your party because you're the most hated, reviled diva in the company. And then Barrett pisses off, and then there's Josh Matthews, who basically tries to interview AJ, and he's like, what do you think about that? What do you think about, being despised and hated and whatever? And for her party, AJ had this cake, and she's got it in her hands, and she's getting all pissed because Matthews is basically shitting on her. And she goes to slam the cake in Matthews' face, but he ducks out of the way, and the cake goes right into Tamina's face. So, whatever. Cutting back to the arena, Brodus' old music, that stupid Funka music shit hits, and out come the Funka Twits. Yeah, it's time for another Divas tag match. Once again, do I really need to tell you how bad it was? It was lousy. Yeah. The Funkadactyls end up getting the win when Naomi small packages AJ for the win. So once again, a lousy roll-up finish. on what is supposed to be our Divas champion, longest reigning champion in history, by the way, loses to a fucking small package to a girl who is nowhere nearly as skilled as her. So, yeah, and that was really the only recap of the match. I think it doesn't matter. Who cares? Moving on, we get a recap from earlier, Batista's original return during the opening segment. Who gives a shit? They hype up the Usos versus Harper and Rowan, which is going to be next, and then they cut to another commercial break. Coming back from the commercial, they do the Royal Rumble by the numbers video again. And then the Usos come out, they get their full entrance, and then we cut to another commercial break. Coming back from the break, they announce that on SmackDown, we're going to get a tag team match, The Big Show and Rey Mysterio versus the Real Americans. Whoop-de-doo. The Wyatts' music hits, blackout in the arena, and they basically teleport to the ring again. Whoop-de-doo. Anything to cut out their crappy entrance. Match starts, and it's lame, obviously. Okay, right, here's the thing. This just goes to show you how green Rowan is. I don't know really who's at fault for this, but it was a blown spot. Rowan was trying to clothesline one of the Usos over the top rope and out of the ring. Well, it didn't work, and he didn't go out of the ring. He just kind of fell down. Rowan tried to, pie face him out of the ring. It didn't work. Dude wound up just falling to the mat and rolling out of the ring. Whatever. Another highlight, one of the Usos was up on the top rope, and I don't know if it was Harper or Rowan, but one of them came up, shoved the guy off, and he went flying and landed splat on the barricade. After that, they cut to a commercial. After the commercial, there was some more action, but what ended up happening was Bray, who had been sitting, of course, in his stupid rocking chair the whole match, decides to get up and start cutting a promo in the middle of the damn match. And he's just talking about Bryan, whatever, we have a match Sunday, I'm gonna take you to hell, yada yada. And it's at this point that I noticed some guy in the crowd was holding up a sign that said simply, "Nobody cares." And I thought that was perfect, because honestly, Bray, nobody cares what you have to say. You're a fuck-up. Your promos suck, and your gimmick is lousy. Go fuck yourself. Anyways, back in the ring, Harper and Rowan had been thrown out of the ring on opposite sides. And the Usos were in the ring. One of them dove on top of Rowan, who was over by the ramp. He got wiped out. And then the other Uso dove at Harper, who was on the other side of the ring. But Harper countered it, got out of the way or something. I don't know what the fuck happened. But after that, Daniel Bryan comes running down the ramp and cracks Bray from behind, starts beating the shit out of him. So there on the outside of the ring, Bryan's beating the hell out of Bray. Back in the ring, I think it was Harper, gets rolled up by one of the Usos. 1, 2, 3, matches over. The Usos win again. And again, another lousy roll-up finish. Anyways, the Usos get the hell out of there. They go up the ramp with Daniel Bryan, and they're all up on the stage. Yes! Yes! And Bryan's music starts playing even though the Usos won the fucking match. So again, this is just putting over Bryan, really. Anyways, cutting back to the camera, we're still waiting on Cena, and this is about 10:30. So this motherfucker still hasn't shown up to the arena. The show's almost over. This motherfucker's waiting until the 11th damn hour to show up. And I knew what was going to happen anyways, because, this shit is so damn predictable. Anyways, but after the still waiting on Cena shit, they're like, okay, up next is going to be the rematch of Orton versus Kofi. That's going to be next. And they cut to another commercial. Coming back from the commercials, they announce that the kickoff for the Royal Rumble pay-per-view is going to be the Rhodes Brothers defending against the Old Age Outlaws, the tag titles match. That's going to be your kickoff. And the kickoff panel is going to be Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And I'm sure it, of course, will be hosted by Josh Matthews, of course. Kofi's music hits and he comes out, and then Orton's music hits and he comes out, and we get a recap of last week, Randy attacking Cena's dad again, whatever the fuck. They start the match. And during the match, I keep noticing that Randy keeps looking up towards the stage, obviously looking at the video screen, looking for Cena. During the match, Orton goes for the rope-hung DDT again, and Kofi again counters it into the SOS, but he's only able to get a 2 count. And then all of a sudden, cutting up to the Titantron, hey look, there's Cena. He's running up the friggin' the ramp, in the back. And Kofi had been knocked down. Randy's staring at the video screen like, oh shit, Cena's here. I'm going to have to get out of here. Kofi grabs a hold of Randy's leg and is just holding on for dear life. The camera cuts over to the ramp. Oh look, there's Cena running out, and he comes out. And Randy tries to get out of the ring, but he's blocked by Kofi. He turns around, and there's Cena. Cena starts wailing on Randy, so a DQ is called. So Orton wins by DQ, but who gives a shit? Cena just beats the hell out of Randy, throws him into the crowd. They start brawling up into the crowd. Stupidly, Cena goes for the attitude adjustment, but Randy's able to elbow him in the face a few times and get out of it and try to run away. They're still brawling up the breezeways, up the stairways, up into the crowd. They finally go over to one of the sky boxes, one of the private box things that they have. They fight in there a little bit. Randy bails out through the back door. Cena goes out through the same door, out through the thing, outside the fucking arena in the freezing cold, and Cena's running after him. Randy's down in the parking lot, and it looks like he jacks a car, and he takes off and fucking leaves. So I think our World Heavyweight Champion just stole a freaking car to get the hell away from John Cena. So Cena's like, well, shit, he got away. He makes his way back into the arena. He's, slapping fives with some of the fans who were there. He makes his way back into the arena, down the stairway, takes the friggin' long way about it, too. He's, slapping fives with people, hugging kids, and he goes over and shakes hands with a couple of guys. He finally jumps back over the barricade and gets in the ring, and he's celebrating, kinda, whatever. And that's the end of the show. So, yeah. Raw was still not very good tonight. And a couple of side notes here is, I think I mentioned on the SmackDown video that Daniel Bryan, suffered a concussion during the cage match on Raw. But apparently, before the show tonight, he was cleared to wrestle by the WWE doctors. So either his concussion was not that bad, or he just recovered from it really quick. The only other note was, during the show, I kept seeing a sign in the crowd that said, "Here for talent, not Batista." That was a sign in the crowd. And it was clearly visible during his return in the opening segment of Raw, during him beating up Del Rio, and I just thought it was funny as hell. But anyways, that was Raw. Once again, I will just, do my usual going over the matches again. We had the 6-man tag, the Rhodes Brothers and Big E versus The Shield, with The Shield winning. It was a decent match. And then we had Xavier Woods getting squashed rather quickly by Johnny Fandango. I don't really know what to think of this one. Xavier's pretty much already been turned into a jobber, but whatever. And then we got CM Punk beating Billy Gunn, which was a decent match. And then we had Mysterio tapping out to Del Rio, which was boring as hell. And then we had the lousy Divas tag match, the Funkadactyls beating AJ and Tamina. Lousy fucking small package. Yeah. And we had the Usos beating Harper and Rowan with another lousy roll-up finish. Really lousy. And then the main event, which was Kofi losing by disqualification to Randy Orton in their rematch. Yeah. The match didn't really last all that long. And I guess it wasn't really supposed to, because it was basically just, yeah, we're going to have Kofi take a bullet so Cena can come out and beat the hell out of Orton. That was basically what it was, and I pretty much saw it coming from a mile away, because, you know, it's that obvious. So yeah, once again, that was Monday Night Raw from January 20th, 2014, Dayton, Ohio. Show was not really that great, and that was your go-home episode of Raw before the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. They already announced a few different matches for the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Daniel Bryan versus Bray Wyatt, The Big Show versus Brock Lesnar, Cena and Orton for the title, the tag titles for the kickoff. They have not yet announced any Divas title match. They have also not announced anything for the Intercontinental or US titles. So, don't know about that. I'm trying to remember if there were any other matches announced. I don't know. But obviously, of course, the Royal Rumble match itself, many people have already been announced to have been, they're going to be part of the Royal Rumble match. We know that CM Punk is going to be number 1. Harper and Rowan are going to be in the match. All 3 members of the Shield are going to be in the Royal Rumble match. God only knows who else. But anyways, once I find the final card for the show, I will do my predictions, and that will of course happen probably sometime after I do the SmackDown video, once SmackDown is taped tomorrow. So it'll probably be Wednesday or Thursday that I do the video for SmackDown, and then probably Friday or Saturday I will do the predictions. So join us next time for the SmackDown video. We will see if they announce any more matches for the pay-per-view. We will see about that. But join us next time for that. Thank you for watching once again, and we will see you next time.